Can I ask you a question?
The Bolton Ink Effect.
Welcome back to the Bolton Ink Effect podcast, where I'm your host, Louis Bolton. And today is a big day for me because I am sitting opposite someone who has done epic stuff. And I am very, very honored, slightly nervous to be here, but I have Freddie Bennett in the studio with me. Freddie, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Great to be here. I was about to look behind me. I'm like, who is opposite you? And then here I am.
You're it, Freddie. So listen, first of all, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for making the time to come here. I have so much to ask you. But before I get into that, who is Freddie? Freddie is the managing director of Bay Pediatrics Child Neurodevelopmental Clinic. He's an ADHD advocate. He's an adventurer. And he's a Guinness World Record holder as well. We'll touch on some of that, but let's find out a little bit more about Freddie. But the first question I've got for you is, Freddie, how's your bicep?
My bicep, that was it was an unfortunate incident. I tore my bicep in before Christmas.
I don't even want to know what that must feel like.
It hurt, definitely. I was basically still thinking that I was about 20 years old, playing five-a-side football here in beautiful Martua in Ferguson Park, final game of the season, dressed as Father Christmas, thinking I was looking pretty cool, until the ball came, stuck out my hand, bicep went ping, and then the rest is history and trips to emergency departments and everything. But it's on the mend. I've heard all of the jokes about how I am recuperating my bicep, and I'm just trying to recover as hard as I can, as often as I can, to be honest.
Did you find that when that happened, knowing the bit that I know about you, what you've achieved and what you've done in your life, did that frighten you? How did that make you feel when you realized that you are fallible?
Not very good, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was with my son at the time, and I'm a fairly open book. I'm happy to say that I got a bit tearful and a bit upset, and this grief came over me, which is pretty embarrassing when you're playing five-a-side football with a bunch of guys on a Thursday night.
Sure.
And your 13-year-old son is watching you, and he was upset because he saw me upset, because I, in the past, have prided myself on being this kind of indestructible, all go, no quit, hit the gas pedal, I'll do anything kind of guy. And it's such a cliche, isn't it? 1 minute you're living your best life, dressed as Father Christmas, having a beer on a football pitch, playing football. The next minute you're on your knees in agony. And it was a reminder, again, firstly, that I'm not 20 anymore, but secondly, that I am human, I am fallible, I am fragile. And literally, wrong place, wrong time, wrong second, and then all of a sudden the next 5-6 months isn't the way that you think it's going to be. And I went from thinking about Christmas shopping and holidays to hospitals and surgery and painkillers and all these sorts of things. So yeah, to be honest, I hated it. It felt like I'd finally found, at the age of 44, a chink in my armour. And I didn't like being reminded that I am, in fact, human and fallible.
So how, I mean, there's so much to unpack there, but we won't go into it's not about biceps, people. I promise you, it's not about biceps. But yeah, it's definitely a wake-up call. Let me rephrase that. It's a privilege getting older. Because you realize what you've got, and I realized in my younger years just how indestructible I thought I was. And there's that old cliche that the youth is wasted on the youth.
That's true.
But having said that, you've certainly made up for it, Freddie, in terms of what you've done and what you've achieved. I mean, you've run across the desert, you've run in the Arctic, you trained unbelievably manically, for 18 months to run over 300 kilometers. And then, to have an injury like that, that will kind of stop your normal routine. Does that mess with your head at all? Does that play a part in redefining who you are, like how you move forward in terms of more measured, or do you still, put that pedal to the metal?
It's a tricky one. The funny thing is, because I pride myself on say, in the what I call the new me. I had the old me, which I'm sure we'll touch on, which was very unhealthy, unfit, very the absolute opposite of health and of wholesome, fresh and healthy. The new me, I was saying, great, fit, healthy, indestructible. The funny thing was, I got this injury, and then I got another one, and then I got another one, and then I got another one, and it's almost kind of like, you know, the opposite of the 4-minute mile, where everyone said that can never be broken. No one can run a 4-minute mile. And then Sir Roger Bannister did it, and then after that, the records kept tumbling and tumbling and tumbling.
Amazing. Yep.
This was the opposite. I got one injury, and then another, and another, and for the first time in my life, that pathway back, that road to recovery from where I am to where I want to be, this was the first time when I thought, you know what, I don't think I can do this again. I think, you know what, I'm 44. Now's maybe the time to settle, to do all the things that I hate doing, be more reasonable, lower my expectations, settle down, take it easy, just kind of go into that life that society wants me to go in, which is Netflix, beers, no change, fully comfortable, no discomfort in my life. And this was the first time when I was like, you know what, I've had a good run, literally in some cases. Now it's time just to be the middle-aged dad who's got the beer belly and a stress problem and a heart problem and a blood pressure problem, and just turn into that kind of life. And then I thought, I just can't do it, because I always believe that everyday people can do extraordinary things. And that's kind of my mission, really, to prove that anyone, whether they're 5, 50, 85, can still do extraordinary things.
Can I ask you a question about your parents? I mean, you grew up in England.
Yeah.
I know your father passed away, and your mom's still around. For me, looking at my dad, he wasn't necessarily the most sporty of men, but he was active. He did look after himself as well as he could. But I always remember him, he had a beer belly. And I remember growing up, especially when I was in my teenage years, and I looked at him and I thought, I never want a beer belly. And it was such a weird kind of thing to take on as a child. Or as a teenager, going, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how I'm going to avoid it. He wasn't a heavy drinker by any stretch of the imagination. He just had a beer belly. Yeah. But I didn't want one. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way he looked. And I love you, Dad. But I've always tried to not have one. Was there something in your dad that, and you don't have to answer this, but was there something that, was he sporty? Did he give you that kind of drive, or your mom? I know there's a reason why you did what you did, which we'll unpack in a second. But what influence did your folks have on you in terms of that drive to be the best that you could be all the time?
It's a great question. It's an interesting one. I mean, look, you could say that my dad was active. He was active with his friends every night. He hung out with Jack Daniels and Johnny Walker every single night, and he walked to the shops every day to buy cigarettes. So I guess in a way he was active. So now I'm being facetious, but he wasn't active. We didn't have that kind of relation. We didn't have the kind of father-son go and watch the football together, going for a kick around in the park. He was a man of many talents. He was a creative genius, but I wouldn't call him active. But I would say, I think, with this kind of the new me part of my life, the chaos of my upbringing led me to, I believe, build resilience and be able to be comfortable with discomfort. And it's been said before that the chaos is my comfort zone. And I will now create that chaos if I'm feeling too comfortable, which can be a strength, it can be a weakness.
Yeah,
so I will.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
It is, definitely. And it's funny you call it a sword. I call it your edge. And your edge can cut you if you're not careful. But if you've got no edge, then you're too well-rounded.
Freddie, so, I've just recently been on a men's retreat a couple of weeks ago.
Nice. With
a brotherhood of men, and it's not an us and them thing. It's called the bros.n.nz, the brothers. And I'll tell you, and there's a to your point about the sword and keeping your edge sharp, is they talk about the axe, of keeping the axe edge sharp.
Mm.
In order for you to actually show up as the best version of yourself, and I'm going to rephrase that and use I language, in order for me to show up the best version for myself, because I feel that if I can show up the best version of myself, by default, those around me will improve and I can lift them. So that keeping that edge, you know, they call about chop wood, carry water, keeping that edge sharp. And I love that because it's a motto and it's something that I can strive towards in my later years now. I'm not old by any stretch of the imagination. I'm 51.
I thought you were 35.
Oh, you can stay, mate. You can stay. But yeah, I there's so much I still want to do. There's so much I still want to achieve. I mean, you've achieved a lot, you've done a lot, and there's still so much that you want to achieve and do. Let's just touch on very quickly on the previous version of Freddie. And folks, I'm not going to delve into it too much. If you want to go and find out about it, there's plenty of information out there where you can find that. But you grew up in England. You got the job, you got the car, you got the job, you got the wife, you got the kids, but you were unhappy as.
Yeah,
hey?
Definitely.
All right, so let's just touch on that. Like, how did you get to that, and what was that single a point of change, and then we'll get into the fun stuff.
Definitely, yeah. It's all fun, just different kind of fun.
Sure.
I suppose to carry on your story around my parents, I had a very chaotic upbringing.
Okay.
Parents were separating, getting back together, separating all the time. Neither of my parents had proper jobs, as you'd call it. So money came in through various legal and illegal ways. Right. So some days were good, some days we had debt collectors knocking on the door.
Yep.
And I said to myself from a very young age, I do not want this life.
How old would you have been when you kind of remember that?
I
yourself,
think
really?
I would have been around 9-10 years old.
So that's pretty young.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, again, that's why I think I brought my resilience. I remember I would walk home. I'm an only child. I've got a older half brother and sister, but I'm we're not connected. So I think of myself as an only child.
Right.
I remember that feeling of dread walking home from school, kind of like happy, happy, happy. Then you turn the corner and see the house, and then your heart just drops. And I would lie in my bedroom every night, hearing my parents arguing and screaming and shouting and fighting. I just said to myself, I am not going to have this life. And that led me to, the first person in my family to go to university, the first person in my family to have a proper job. All I wanted at that time was what I call it the normal people's club.
Yeah.
I wanted to be part of the normal people's club. I wanted
and not have that.
No, I wanted a normal job, normal house, normal salary, land in my bank account where I knew it was going to arrive. That safety, that stability, that normality, that's what I thought I wanted. And I was willing to do anything to get it. I was even willing to be someone that I wasn't actually. And we talk about the edge. I was willing to dull my edge, hide my edge, put a mask over my edge, do anything that I had to do, and able to create this, what many parts of society would call success, with a prestigious job, big corporation, traveling the world, expense accounts, as you say, nice cars, nice watches, not kind of,
Yeah, so from the outside, perfect life.
Yeah. In many ways, yeah, I wasn't, we weren't talking like MTV cribs. I wasn't rolling around in Bentleys.
All the boxes were checked.
Yeah, I was kind of in this place when, I could buy crunchy nut cornflakes and not be like, ooh, maybe I should just go for the stuff at the bottom of the shelf. And, you could go for a coffee and not be thinking, I should probably get a small, not a large. Because when I was growing up, well, we didn't even go for coffees. It was it was make your own stuff. And it was that instability. That's what I hated, of not knowing, we can't afford it, we can't afford it, we can't afford it. That was the soundtrack to my life. And I just wanted to never say to my kids,
we can't afford it.
I didn't want mansions, I didn't want business class flights. I just wanted to, if my kids wanted a slice of cake,
they could have
to not say we can't afford it. And
okay.
In my 20s, I achieved that goal, but as you say, it came at a price, because I lost myself, because I believed that I could not be successful in society's terms while being the true, authentic version of myself. And the more I tried to hide myself, it's like putting a lid on a pressure cooker. That shit's going to come out sideways if you don't let it release. And that's what happened with me. And I found myself, as I say, early 30s, externally successful, internally one bad decision from either killing myself, quite frankly, either intentionally or unintentionally.
Yeah. That edge that was blunted or masked. What was the catalyst for change then? What was the catalyst? I mean, and you have spoken about this, but just for the audience here that have not necessarily listened to you, what was the catalyst for that change? And on top of that, Freddie, your diagnosis when you, because this is where we're going to get into the Bay Pediatrics part of it, how did that change your life?
It's a good question. I mean, my ADHD diagnosis was first suggested when I had my first breakdown, which was around 2014. Kind of my son was, my eldest son was a couple of years old. I couldn't cope. I was a six-figure earner. I wasn't being a six-figure husband. I wasn't a six-figure father. I wasn't a six-figure son. I wasn't a six-figure friend. I was trying to be everything to everyone. And that caused me to burn out, stress out, crash out. I did everything that guys are supposed to do. I put my hand up. I asked for help. I talked to someone. I got the therapy, got the counselling. Along that was when ADHD was first suggested to me.
Okay, so that's roughly around 2014.
Yes, around then. Okay. And I wasn't really listening. I was, again, maybe it's the male version. I was there thinking, there's something in my head that's broken. Give me what I need to do to fix it so I can go back on the road. And I didn't fix it. I learned to hide it even better. And so I carried on. Because it's hard asking for help the first time. Asking for help the second time when you're supposed to be fixed feels almost impossible. And I carried on, just trying to live this life that was seemingly normal but chaotic under the surface. And then one day my dad died, very suddenly. I was at work, probably quite hungover, doing the whole kind of like, works of video, like slumped at your desk, like just tapping away. Wait, is it 5 o'clock yet? Oh, come on, almost 5 o'clock. The phone rang. Long story short, your dad's in hospital. I had to jump in my car straight from work, 300 kilometers, get to hospital. And it's the day that we all hear about, but we hope doesn't happen to us. You're having a normal lunchtime. By dinner time, I kissed my dad on the forehead and I watched him die. And it gave me a crash course in life being precious and life being short. I know that's a cliche, but that morning, my dad didn't know he was going to die. He was having a normal morning. And I always think there would have been a moment, kind of that afternoon, when he would have thought like, oh shit, time's up. I'm like, what regrets did he have? What were all those things that he never did? What were the conversations he never had? What were the places he never saw? What were the things he never did? And fast forward 6 months, because the 6 months immediately after his death, I said, you know what? Life is short. So I am going to have that 5th tequila on a Tuesday night. I tore the arse out of it. I partied more. I drank more. I did more stupid shit. I was angry at the world. I was on this path to destruction because I just thought, what's the point? If my dad can just die, I might as well live every single day.
Fully to the nth degree.
But kind of, I went too far. This wasn't kind of enjoying sunsets. Like I say, this was drinking a bottle of vodka on a Tuesday night because why not? Life is short. And then one morning after those 6 months of partying, I did wake up, and they call it rock bottom, but that's where I was. I literally woke up in a horrible hotel room. I'd missed work. I had loads of missed calls on my phone. I stumbled to the bathroom, just like kicking these empty, like these miniature bottles out the way. And I saw this guy in the mirror, and he looked like a monster. I didn't recognize him.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like...
Really, Freddie?
Yeah,
so it's
really.
literally looking at yourself in the mirror going...
Yeah. I was like, who is this guy? I was like, the pale skin, I was like horrible, these grey, baggy old man boxer shorts and like this pale skin and this beer belly and like these chipped yellow, my chipped yellow, nicotine stained teeth, these bloodshot eyes. And I was just like, this isn't the way it's supposed to go. And I was like, what happened? That guy with all the hopes, all the dreams, all the energy, all the excitement. I was like, what happened to that guy? this isn't the way your life is supposed to go, Freddie. And then I realized kind of all these things that I wanted in my life, and I don't mean like these material things, I mean the confidence and the happiness and the love and the experiencing the world. If I want all these things that I'd never had before, I need to do the things I've never done before, which was getting my life on track seriously in terms of my health, my fitness, my drinking, my partying, all of it. I was always looking to the world for an external fix, be that a positive fix or a negative fix. But I knew that I wouldn't create long-lasting change unless I changed myself. And that was the moment when I said, I need to do this for me. And especially in the sobriety world, they talk about having a strong enough why. He or she who has a big enough why can endure anyhow. And when I had a big enough why, this life that I wanted, this person who I wanted to be, that's when I knew I could make the changes I had to make. Because in the past, every Sunday night, we all do, every Sunday night.
Why wasn't big enough?
Yeah, I was just like, I'm doing it because I'm supposed to, or because I'm being told to, or because my boss, because HR is telling me to, all these things. I wasn't doing it for me. This was the first time when I thought, if I want to be the man, the father, the person who I want to be, now I need to start making these changes. And that was the way forward. And I always say in life, no matter how many times you've fallen, failed, messed up, screwed up, fucked up, no matter how many times you've lost, no matter how many times you've stumbled, you only need to get it right once.
Jeez.
Then everything changes. Then you win. And that was the one time, one of the few times in my life when it actually stuck. Yeah. And I made those changes.
I tip my hat to you, Freddie, because I think a lot of the time, I look in the mirror and I'm going, there's a lot that I want to do. There's a lot that I want to achieve, and to hit rock bottom at that moment in your life, like you say, you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't even recognize that version, that person looking back at you is there's a self-awareness piece there, which I think is very important to recognize as well, of going that I am fallible, that I have hit rock bottom, it's up to me. No one else is going to do it. Not my wife, not my children, not my friends, no one. It's up to me. I would still be curious one day to have a chat to you about what that looked like in terms of a feeling, or if there was something outside you that actually made that change happen, because the version of yourself now is very different to that version. But we could go on and on and on about this, and there's so much that I want to explore. So I'm going to move a little bit forward now and go into these questions that I've kind of got for you with that context and that history in mind. Is that, I mean, you changed your life. I mean, you were a business coach, you were a communication strategist before you co-founded the pediatric clinic. Freddie, what did you know about healthcare industry before starting Bay Pediatrics? And what were the things that you didn't know that actually nearly broke you to get, that in this point in time?
What do I know about healthcare? I had a great experience being a patient. I put myself at ED a lot. I had many conversations with doctors, psychiatrists, counsellors, therapists. Being on the other side of the table was something new to me. And I suppose that the story of Bay Pediatrics, because as you mentioned, I went through my own ADHD diagnosis, and we fast forward a few years, and ADHD.
That would have been in England.
So I had my original diagnosis in England. I had my medicated diagnosis here in New Zealand.
Okay, so just for the timeline's sake, so that was in England. So you folks got here in 2020.
Yeah,
give or take, just at the time of COVID, but. So you got your real diagnosis here. Okay, cool. So now you're sitting on the other side of the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And along the way, as I say, my youngest son, he'd been through the healthcare system for an ADHD diagnosis as well. And again, as a parent, you kind of, I call it the awakening, that moment when you think, my son's or my child's a little bit different.
Okay.
And
okay. What does that look like, Freddie? And because for me, I've never been through that. So essentially, how long was that period of time, and what did that awakening kind of look like when you realized, oh shit, there's something not quite right here?
I think it was a couple of years that we actually waited for a diagnosis.
Okay, so it's a couple of years. We're not talking months or anything like
a couple of years.
Cheapest.
And that's a couple of years of my son struggling. And that gradual realization that we're not getting the party invites, we're not getting the sleepover invites, we're not getting the play dates, my son's getting into trouble in class, all these things.
And he was how old?
He was around 8 years old when this started. So he was struggling, and we put it down to it's a new country, it's a new way of life, all these things. Then time goes on and you think, no, there's something happening here. And it's this gradual realization that my son's different. As a parent, you get the guilt and the shame and the overwhelm, and then you feel guilty or guiltier because you end up thinking, hang on, I didn't sign up for this. I signed up for the child who was fun and popular and everything, and everything. Life was easy, and it could be a bombshell to learn that, and then it's almost like the second blast comes in of the guilt and the shame around, I shouldn't be feeling like this. And then you think, what have I done wrong as a parent? What book haven't I read? What strategy haven't I done? Is it me? Is it my upbringing? Am I too soft? Am I too strict? Do I talk too much? Do I talk too little? All these things go around your head. So we were waiting for years for these answers, and hopefully that the solution to our troubles. It didn't come. Then, as I say, like many parents of our neurodivergent kids do, you look at the criteria and the symptoms and the signs of ADHD, and you think, well, this is sounding quite familiar. Could I have ADHD? And obviously, I'd gone on this journey already, but again, I thought I could manage it.
So there were similarities going through the process, watching your son go through this process, going, hang on a second, this is ringing a bell for you. Okay.
Definitely. And I think in the back of my mind, there was probably some fear with his diagnosis pathway. And I have to be honest, I looked at my life and my life as a child, and my life as a teenager, and my life growing up as an adult. And I didn't want him to have my life, because I was undiagnosed for 35 years. And for a big part of my life, that was 35 years when I couldn't be me. I didn't know how to be me. I didn't give myself permission to be me. I did not want my son to have that life. I wanted to give him the gift of a future which was truly authentic, where he could truly lean into, embrace and love who he was. And I hoped by giving him the opportunity for that ADHD diagnosis, he could have that. And he finally got it. And then I thought, well, you know what, in my own ADHD way, I think I can do this better. I think I can, I didn't want, that's why I started Bay Pediatrics, effectively.
Okay.
I didn't want families to suffer like we had. I didn't want children to suffer like I had. And with very little money and very little planning and a hell of a lot of hope and a pinch of confidence, I was like, you know what, I'm going to back myself here, and I'm going to go all in and just go on this journey. And I heard this phrase from a film once, and it was, sometimes all you need is 30 seconds of courage. All you need is 30 seconds of true, insane courage to make that one decision that changes the course of your life.
And it did.
And I hope it did. I hope it's doing that. Definitely.
It's doing it, Freddie. I think you need to stop saying I hope, and I think you need to stop saying my dream or whatever, because you're doing it. You're living it.
Certainly want to be living it. And it feels like
I know you've got a lot to do, but just from someone who's watching from the outside, you're doing it.
Well, that's good to know, definitely.
Okay. It would be remiss of me not to talk about your partner who is in Bay Pediatrics with you. You're not a doctor, your partner is. Can we just talk about what that looked like and what that journey was for you to get to the point where you started Bay Pediatrics with your wife?
It was a challenging journey, definitely. I think from the Bay Pediatrics perspective, in some ways it works really well, because she is an amazing doctor. She's an amazing developmental paediatrician. I would say the best in New Zealand. I'm very good at praising other people, just not myself, you see.
I know that.
Yeah, she would say, she's very modest, but I would say the best of what she does in New Zealand. You know, there's only one New Zealand paediatrician who got invited to speak at the ADHD World Summit in Prague, and that was her.
Yeah.
And so she brings that medical knowledge and expertise to help families and children every day.
Did you have to convince her to go on this journey, or was it a mutual discussion?
I think we both reached the conclusion at the same time.
Based on your son's diagnosis?
Definitely. I think we're both very purpose driven, and we both feel that more can be done to help Kiwi families, which is ultimately where why we do this. And in some ways, it's kind of the right answer is the balance, because I come at things from the very ADHD, screw it, let's do it, let's take the risk, let's take the leap, let's go. Yeah. She comes at it from a very academic, medical, risk-averse point of view. It's almost like we have a phrase with ADHD around the ADHD brain has got a Ferrari engine and BMX brakes. I'm probably the Ferrari engine, she's the Ferrari brakes. Okay. So I'm very good at hitting the gas pedal, she's very good at hitting the brakes.
So it's complementary.
In some way.
so that's interesting there, Freddie. So how do you navigate a disagreement when you're both the boss at home and at work? And then what's that taught you about like neurodiversity and relationships?
Again, chaos is my comfort zone. Sure. We try and from a business and logistical point of view, we are quite good at splitting things in the clinic. I have a massive aversion, and I'm not afraid to say this, to the self-styled ADHD neurodevelopmental coaches who did a weekend course and printed off their certificate, and now they claim to be some expert in helping families, and especially taking families' money for giving them advice and guidance.
Do you think they're doing more harm than good?
Yes, 100%. I think I always say when you wouldn't, whether you want to, fix your house, your car, your bike, your eyes, your teeth, your anything in life, you want the best expert to do it. Why would it not be the case for your children's brain?
This is no different.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I would never proclaim to be a medical expert, a clinical expert, anything like that. So she looks after the medical side. I look after the business side. Yep. So what we kind of say is, if you think of we have our clinic now, the New Zealand Neurodiversity Centre of Excellence. It's my job to bring patients to the front door. As soon as they walk through the front door of the clinic, that's her job. She leads that side. I lead the business and the marketing side. And I think my role, I wouldn't call myself an expert. I'd call myself an advocate and a parent who's maybe a couple of steps ahead from some parents, just because I've healed so much. You've lived it. And lived it and had to learn some hard lessons along the way. But everything that we do in terms of our podcast, our events, our training, I love what we do, and I believe it's unique because we take all of this medical expertise, this neurodevelopmental expertise, the psychological expertise, the psychiatrists, the paediatricians. We take all of that amazing world-class expertise, but then I put the lens of a parent who hasn't got a clue on it. And again, when I was a dad who was struggling, you get Dr. Google, and then these doctors who say this stuff I don't understand, and then someone else is saying something else, and this book says that. And I just felt dumb and stupid. Yeah, almost and deeper hopeless, and deeper into the hole. And a failure. So that's what we say. We take all this world-class knowledge, and it's my job to say, right, I'm a parent who hasn't got a freaking clue. I just know that I feel like a failure most of the time. How do I take that and turn it into something that can really help? And that's kind of what my job is. Well, Sarah and the team, they deliver the best ADHD and autism assessments in New Zealand, and the aftercare and the medication and everything that comes with that. And I've learned very early on, the best thing I can do as the managing director of Bay Pediatrics is give them space and let them do what they do best.
Just on that, it took you a long time to get diagnosed with your ADHD diagnosis, and you witnessed your son go through it when you realized there was something different. I came across the word illuminate, the illuminate procedure, which takes it down almost to like 7 days. Can we talk a little bit about that, just to give folks out there a bit of context of what is actually possible for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So our child ADHD assessment is called ADHD Illuminate, because effectively we want to shine a light on ADHD and on what's happening in a child's brain. I know, again, as a parent, it could be confusing. Sometimes you're not there as a parent saying, well, yes, hello, I'd like to come for an ADHD assessment, please. And we'd like to go through this step and this step and this step, and then we'll go forward. As a parent, you're just saying, shit, help me. I don't know what's going on, but I need some answers here. You know, we talk about clarity, certainty, and confidence at Bay Pediatrics. Illuminate is what I believe to be the difference and the leading ADHD assessment in New Zealand. I'll try and kind of keep the science short.
No, please get into it. But
first thing we do at Bay Pediatrics is we will review and screen any child who comes through our door for free. So yeah, we are a private clinic. Parents who are saying, look, I don't know, is it ADHD? Is it autism? Is it dyslexia? Is it something else? We don't know. Parent comes to our door or through our website. We'll send them out some forms to complete. Forms for parents, forms for teachers. We receive those forms back. Our paediatricians and psychiatrists will review that information for free, and then we go back to the parent and we say, okay, we recommend an ADHD assessment. We recommend an autism assessment. Sometimes, you know, you get parents saying, it's definitely ADHD. Google told me it's ADHD, or this Facebook group told me it's autism. Our doctors take a look and we say, you know what? It actually looks like your child's sleep is terrible. Poor sleep shows up very similar to ADHD. Dyslexia shows up very similar to ADHD.
Okay.
We will not allow any family to invest time and money in any assessment before we've given it the green light.
Gotcha.
Again, as parents who spent way too much money on this stuff, I don't want anyone paying if it's not the right thing for them.
Yeah.
If they get through, you know, we say, okay, ADHD, we think, let's all move forwards on this pathway. Illuminate is a two-part assessment. You've got the deep dive consultation, which is the child, the parents, the paediatrician, or the psychiatrist, because we've got both. Yeah, that's really the deep dive understanding what's happening for the child in home, at school. It's a 90-minute consultation.
Gotcha. Okay.
The game changer is our digital ADHD screening tool. We actually brought this technology into New Zealand. It's been used in Tauranga Hospital in the public system, and we are the only clinic in New Zealand currently, the only private children's clinic who use it for our assessments. Anywhere else you go in New Zealand, whether it's public or private, if you go on this ADHD assessment pathway, they will give you a load of forms to fill in. Usually, we're here in 2026. The forward-looking public system will give you usually some paper forms and a pen and say, go and fill these out. Forms for parents, forms for teachers. All these questions, you know, does your child move a lot? Do they talk a lot? Do they run around as if driven by a motor? It's all based on people's opinions. They fill out the forms, they either email them back, send them back. The forms get reviewed. That takes a long time.
I was going to say, we're talking days here already.
Oh, this is why the public system has got wait lists of years because it takes so long. So, and again, let's break that down into all this form filling. So firstly, it's long, it's slow, it's expensive. We know, because the research tells us, and as I know, if you've got a child with ADHD, you're probably more than likely going to have at least one parent with ADHD, or at least undiagnosed ADHD.
Okay.
So remembering to fill out forms, remembering where you put the forms, remembering to send the forms back, it ain't a strong point. I've got stuff in my fridge from 2 years ago that I should have sent back to my child's school. So returning those forms isn't going to be a strong point, especially if a child comes from a more of a chaotic household.
Yes.
Then let's say that the child's got a parent, and sorry, but it's, in my experience, it's always the dad who says they haven't got ADHD, they just need some discipline, or I was like this when I was growing up, or no, ADHD is made up. So they're going to score that form, nothing, 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 nothing. Or let's say a teacher. The teacher fills out their form and they say, this kid's from a bad family, or this kid's got an uncle who's in prison, or this kid's dad's in a gang. They haven't got ADHD. They're just naughty. They're just lazy. They're just disruptive. So they're going to score their form, nothing, 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 nothing. Those forms go back. They review them and they say, you know what?
You're
I don't
okay.
see any problem here
Yeah,
because
you're
all
good.
of these opinions, it is. And this is the way all private clinics are running apart from ours or the public system. And it kills me because one thing we say, as a child, once you have got a diagnosis of ADHD or autism, that diagnosis will stay with you for the rest of your life, whether you like it or not. And we are basing these lifelong decisions and potentially putting them on really hardcore medication.
I was going to say, it's multi-layered, isn't it?
Definitely. But all of these decisions are based on people's thoughts and opinions.
Sure.
And it's very, very subjective. What we do with the Illuminate assessment, we still do the paperwork, but the cherry on top is this fully objective screening tool. It's an online screening assessment. The child thinks they're playing a computer game.
Okay, so it's actually to do with the child itself.
Yes, the child
And it's
is
objective.
The child itself is running the online assessment. It's testing for three things: hyperactivity, impulsiveness, and inattentiveness, which is the three main kind of like aspects of ADHD.
And the age group there?
We run it from 6 years old up to 17.
Okay, cool.
The assessment, it's fast, it's cheaper than the public system, and it's truly objective because the child will be sitting the test. We're also tracking things like their eye movements, their head movements. So again, if you're a child and you're very distracted and you're playing a very boring computer game in your mind, you're going to be looking around and kind of like
Actually
kicking the
tracking
chair,
the eye movements.
tracking their eye movements. So again, if you haven't got ADHD, you're focused, you're looking. And I've done this test myself. My son's done it. The most boring thing in the world if you've got ADHD. You'll be all over the place. Gotcha. We get their scores and then we compare their scores to a child of the same age and the same gender without ADHD. Okay. So we can literally say, your child is here in the red. A child the same age and gender without ADHD is here in the green. Yeah. So the word prove is a difficult word to say in the medical world, but we can.
But it gives you an idea of where the child is at based on what normal should be.
So we can show that, like the data, the one page, all the graphs, we can show that to the dad who doesn't believe in ADHD. We can show that to the teacher who says this child's just naughty. And it's this truly objective measure. And we can run this for any child. We can show the data behind it. We can get a child on medication and then run the test again. Because otherwise, again, in the public system, you put a child on medication. How do we know if it's working? We're going to send you the forms again. It's the equivalent of
replicate the process.
Definitely. I always say it's the equivalent of, imagine you were going on a health and fitness journey, but the only way that you knew whether it was working or not was if you had to give a questionnaire to all your friends and family and say, do I look fitter? Yeah. Do I look thinner? Do I look healthier? That's the old way. Our way is a 3D body scan. That's purely the difference between it. And what we can do is we can give parents, again, that certainty, that clarity and confidence that we're giving them the right answers, the right treatment and the right pathway for the future. And we can show them whether it's working or not.
Okay. There seems to be a lot more ADHD and neurodivergent diagnoses over the last couple of years. Is that true, first of all? And in your mind, having experienced this and working at and founding Bay Pediatrics, why? Why do you think this is, Freddie? Why do you think there are so many kids being diagnosed these days?
It's a great question. And it's one that comes up a lot, this whole question of, are we getting better at spotting it?
Exactly.
Or,
is the technology improving so much that we can spot it? Or has it always been there? Or is there something fundamentally going on here?
Well, yeah, it's that whole thing of, I'm not going to get into the whole thing of...
This might be part two.
Well, no, yeah, there's always someone always say on Facebook, is a vaccine related or something? We're not even entertaining that. But there is a valid question around, is ADHD in particular becoming more prevalent in children or young people, or are we just getting better at spotting it? There is a lot of different research on this. I would say, I think the Bay Pediatrics doctors would agree sometimes. I would say we are getting better at spotting it. And also as a society, we're becoming more aware of it.
Sure.
Because always the deeper question is nature versus nurture. So did my child develop ADHD or were they born with it? And the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. We tend to say, in particular with ADHD, genetics loads the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger.
Gotcha.
So again, it is very rare to see a child with ADHD where their parents and grandparents have got no traits. Diagnosed or undiagnosed, doesn't matter. There will generally be traits.
Some sort of indication that
definitely. Or potentially autism, potentially a learning disability, but there'll be some neurodevelopmental conditions more often than not in their parents or grandparents. But, and Dr. Gabor Mate talks about this a lot, lifestyle, again, ironically, the lifestyle you grew up in, the chaos you grew up in, did you grow up in a happy, healthy, productive home? Did you grow up in a home full of arguing, shouting, in an environment where your senses were always on edge, where what we call our fight or flight mechanism was always firing, always triggering? And the research shows that a child who grows up in that environment, if they're already genetically predisposed
to it,
yes, then that is more likely to bring ADHD to the forefront. Okay. But as we say, it's a lot more complex than the TikTok coaches would have you believe. Again, especially we're at Bay Pediatrics, we talk about sleep a hell of a lot. If a child is not getting enough sleep, the symptoms will be can't pay attention, can't sit still, emotional meltdowns, can't focus, can't concentrate. Think, well, what does that sound like?
Really, how do you, sorry, just on that point though, but how do you counteract that with screen time with the youngsters today? I mean, you've got kids, you've got a teenager in the home, I have a teenager in the home. Like I fully agree with you. Sleep is a vital part of being human. It's the way that we reset. It's the way that we reconfigure, we restore, we rejuvenate. And if you're not getting enough sleep, obviously something's going to go wrong.
Definitely.
So there's a massive education piece here as well, isn't there?
There is. And this is why this is why I am on what I call the neurodiversity revolution, because I believe there's...
You're an absolute disruptor, because you're disrupting the current course and narrative. So I appreciate you for what you're doing. What else can we do?
I think, I say, with the screens, again, this is a perfect example. It's it's like there's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the ADHD truth. So the truth, again, the gurus and the TikTok coaches will tell you is screens bad, screens bad, screens disrupt sleep, put the screens down, which sounds great.
It does sound great. It's easy for you to say,
Apart from if you've got a kid who is highly autistic or has ADHD and their whole life is lived through Minecraft or Roblox, and you're going to take that screen away. I do have a phrase which is, and this applies to adults as well, if you are afraid of losing something, then you are letting that thing control you.
Okay.
And this can apply to a phone, to
whatever.
A relationship, to money, to a job, to a client, whatever.
Please say that again.
If you are afraid of losing something, then you are letting that thing control you. So think of all these people who are afraid of losing their current relationship. They'll do anything to keep that relation. Those people who have got their identity attached to a job. They're afraid of losing that job, so they're letting that control. Money is a key one, but our phones is another one. If you're afraid of losing something, then you are letting that thing control you. And you try and take someone's phone away, or you try and take someone's screen away. So yes, we know screens emit blue light. Blue light disrupts melatonin production. Melatonin is the hormone that our brain releases that tells us it's time to go to bed. But for some neurodivergent kids, it doesn't quite work that way.
Wow.
Because a screen gives them some sensory calmness. As a parent, especially as a parent without ADHD or autism, we see flashing lights, we see Mr. Beast yabbering away, and we just say, turn that crap off. If you're a child who has been overstimulated all day at school, who has been wearing this mask all day at school, trying to act normal and control their regulations, a screen is their one release valve.
I love the reframe.
And it's, I can see the caption now. Freddie, Bay Pediatrics says your child should have 5 hours of screen every day. I'm not saying that, but I know this for my own son.
Just go a bit deeper, find out the underlying.
Exactly. Screens can be a regulating tool for a neurodiverse brain.
I didn't think about it like that. So I really appreciate you saying that, because it's given me a different way to see see it in a different light. No pun intended.
And it's funny also, we see, you know, a child who's in a two-parent or two-caregiver household. Screens also add to the chaos in that household, because you usually get good cop, bad cop.
I know. Because again, it's layered. Like, get off the screen, stay on the screen.
Exactly. Mum is bad cop. Mum's the one saying, take that screen away. She'll pull out the iPad, put the iPad away. And that's fair enough, mum, because mum's just trying to do what she knows best. A few hours later, the kid goes up to dad, and the kid's like, Dad, can my iPad back? Dad, can my iPad back? Dad, can my iPad back? Dad's usually there on his phone saying, yep, oh, hang on, how do I just, you know, oh, okay, don't tell your mum. They'll give the iPad back. Mum spends her whole time hating being bad cop. Dad spends his whole time saying, thanks, mum, you're trying to instill this discipline. And then I'm the one who has to try and implement it, but I don't know how to implement it. So all these different chaos things. But yes,
okay.
Generally, screens are bad, but it isn't as simple as just saying, take the screens away. Because some children, I know for my own son, he loves Minecraft, he loves Roblox. It's a way for him to create this world where he feels safe after living in a world that isn't designed for him. YouTube Shorts, I hate them. I will walk in, and I'll say, I hate this crap, I hate this crap. And 10 minutes later, I'm still watching. And I can't stop watching it. Wow. And I do believe, as you say, kind of, the world is designed, or is continually being built, for shorter and shorter attention spans. We all know that. Like, you know, we live in this age where everything is on demand. 20 years ago, we had to wait for everything. Now it's on demand. Exactly.
I mean, we were talking, you know, just earlier before we got on the podcast. And listen, there's so much that we could still talk about, but I'm going to sort of bring this home and land this plane, and then we might have to have part 2. Freddie.
Definitely.
But, you know, you and I are definitely part of an interesting Generation X, where we remember analog, but we also know digital. So we've got one foot in each camp. It must be very difficult now for children to kind of navigate when they don't know pre then. And I know that sounds trite of me saying that, because we've been living it in for a long time, but there's just so much more information available to us, and it's to be able to distill that information, to be able to do something with it, and to get the right diagnosis and the right treatment for the kids and for the parents. But now, you've said that you want Tauranga to be the Silicon Valley of neurodiversity. But Freddie, Silicon Valley is also notorious for burning people out. It's got like it's that edge. So it celebrates the dysfunction's genius, and it sometimes ignores well-being. Is that the right metaphor? I mean, and does it say anything about how we're framing neurodiversity?
It probably says a lot about how I frame my life. Definitely. I'm a man of many phrases. I do believe that you can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm.
No, you can't. But
I also believe that the people who shout loudest about burnout are usually the people with the coldest hands. And
good point.
I have been warned many times to slow down, to take it easy, to worry about burnout. When I started Bay Pediatrics, people said I should lower my expectations. It was impossible. When I decided to run across the Sahara Desert, when at the time I couldn't run a kilometre, people told me that I was going to injure myself, that I should be more realistic. I spent my whole damn life being told to be more reasonable, to lower my expectations, to not dream so big. And I believe that's what our children are being told, especially our neurodivergent children are being told that every single day. Be reasonable, don't be a tall poppy, don't stand out, don't have big dreams, don't have big goals. And I say statues were not built for reasonable people. And that's what I truly believe your edge is. And people think, and I used to think this, we talk about the edge and growth and everything else. We think that's perfection, but it isn't. It's actually embracing our darkness. And one of my personal crusades about this, because yes, you know what, I am going to stand by this. I truly believe that the Bay of Plenty will become the Silicon Valley of neurodiversity, even if it does burn me out, even if it means I'm not going to get 8 hours sleep.
I don't think it will.
Neurodivergent brains, we're hunters. Yeah. We work best when we have something to chase.
Yeah.
When we have a purpose, when we have a goal, and that goal may be a Silicon Valley of neurodiversity. It may be a Lego building. It may be a website. It may be a marathon. It may be something. We work at our best when we have a goal to chase. If we have nothing to chase, then we stop moving. Like water, when you stop moving, you become stagnant. Exactly. And then you start to, again, to have to create your own chaos, which is never good. I do believe a final part around this whole thing around neurodiversity being a superpower.
Yes,
which and I get told this a lot because of the world records and the challenges. And I think it's difficult because when you're struggling as a parent or a child, having someone come up to you and say, oh, it's a superpower, isn't really freaking helpful because you feel like a failure. But you think of a superhero is not perfect. We love a superhero movie. We love the Marvel movies. Imagine you go and see the Marvel movie and the superheroes are perfect and they look great every day and everything goes their way and life is brilliant and they have a great time. No one would watch that. No. We root for the superheroes because the superheroes often curse their superpowers. Yeah. The superhero often says, I wish I was normal like everyone else. The superhero becomes a superhero because they have to go on the journey where they stumble and they fall and they falter and they fail and they decide to get back up again. And I believe that's what we can tell our children. You look at any superhero movie, both the hero and the villain start their life as the victim. And then they have to make the decision, what path am I going to go on? And I believe with Bay Pediatrics, with our visions for our events, our podcast, for the Bay of Plenty, for my own personal heart, mind and soul, if we can put more kids on the path to a superhero, that path will not be easy, but it was the path that they were born to walk.
And it'll be pure.
Exactly. And I always say, it doesn't matter, again, whether you're 5, 10, 50, 85, it is never too late to become who you were always meant to be. And if we can do that for our kids, they don't have to spend decades trying to find that person. Yeah, they can see that person and we can give them that path to greatness and we can start that today.
I love that, Freddie. I love that. And that's a beautiful segue into kind of a couple of more questions. So if you could go back and diagnose 9-year-old Freddie, would you? or is there something in the undiagnosed struggle that made you who you are today? And you've touched on the superhero and the hero's journey.
I do wish I'd had answers sooner because I spent over 3 decades thinking I was broken. I spent many sleepless nights thinking, what's wrong with me? I spent so many hours, days, weeks destroying whatever was good in my life because I didn't know who I was, why my brain was this way, and I thought I was broken. And if I could have saved myself that struggle, it would have been nice. But I also believe that my mess is my message and I would not be where I am. None of this, Bay Pediatrics, I say the records, the races, everything, all hopefully the positive things I've created, I don't believe I would have created that without the struggle. And if I'm able to struggle to help hundreds, thousands, maybe one day millions of children avoid that struggle, then I'll choose that any single day.
What can we look forward to, Freddie? What's coming up for Bay Pediatrics? What's coming up for Freddie?
Oh, as always, I would love to turn around and say nothing much. We're just going to carry on doing what we're doing.
Not possible.
Not possible. So Bay Pediatrics will continue to grow. I do not hide the fact we have our goal and our vision to be officially New Zealand's #1 children's neurodevelopmental clinic. New Zealand's #1 children's neurodevelopmental clinic. So we want to be in every city, in every town, giving Kiwi children the best assessments, the best care, the best support they deserve. We have something called the Epic Families Program. Epic Families stands for Extraordinary Parents, Incredible Children. This is where we give the best information to all families. And that's kind of, you never have to have an assessment with us. You never have to walk through our door. You just have to be a family that needs help. We will give you that help. Most of it's for free. Free podcasts, tools, resources. We also have Epic Families Live that's coming back to Tauranga 16th of August, where we're bringing some amazing speakers. It's New Zealand's largest event for neurodiverse families, parents and children are welcome at this event, and it's going to be the biggest ever in New Zealand yet again. On a personal note, I'm supposed to say that I'm going to work less, I'm going to be more present with the kids, I'm going to be calmer, I'm going to get 8 hours sleep.
You said it.
Well, but also in just over a year's time, I am running 300 kilometers through the Amazon jungle.
I love that.
And
Can I
that's the
come
thing.
forward? Please let me come forward.
Everyone talks
brilliant.
about ADHD being a
That's amazing,
superpower.
Freddie.
I want to be the guy who proves to kids what's possible. Kids are so smart. You can tell a child that you love them, or you can show a child that you love them. It always works more to show a child. So everyone else tells kids that ADHD is a superpower. I'm going to show them, again, by running 300 kilometers through the Amazon jungle.
When is that?
June 2027.
Next year. Okay.
Yeah, next year, so just over 12 months away. Dodging snakes, spiders, scorpions, drug gangs, the whole lot of it. 300 kilometers, 5 days. I'm nowhere near.
Is that an organised event, or is that just you?
It is an organised race.
is, okay.
So it's the toughest race in South America. Okay. So I've done the sand, I've done the snow.
Now
Jungle's going to complete the hat trick. And as I say, ADHD people, and I know boys in particular, so many parents, so many mums struggle with these boys, these young men. We're hunters. We work best when we have a goal to chase. So by keep giving myself goals to chase professionally, personally, in terms of my health, then I will hopefully be at my best, or my version of my best, to best serve my family and the families in the Bay and beyond.
Freddie Bennett, it's been an absolute privilege and an inspiration to have you in the studio. Thank you very much for your time, and we will continue this conversation. So thank you.
As always in life, the best is yet to come. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question?